Let's explore letting your thoughts run free when mindfulness doesn't seem to be working. This evening's lesson is drawn from a Reddit Zen enthusiast's question: how do you push through a sitting when your mind just cannot settle down? The individual wrote, I use an app with a timer to set a limit to the length of my sit. Some days I just don't settle down, and trying to push through to the bell is very frustrating. So let's explore this here. Using an app is great. Now remember, I'm going to tell you something you already know, so brace yourself to have your intelligence insulted. Just as Jesus told the disciples, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Similarly, I tell you, your timer was not made for you, not you for your timer. Allow me to quote Archer, or paraphrase Archer. Do you want an aversion? Because that's how you get an aversion. When we push ourselves, when we ignore our body's requests for more dopamine, for more food, more water, more rest, and we ignore it, we don't do it, we do the opposite, we're making of our body an enemy. What happens when you do give your body what it wants? The next time you sit, you'll most likely be able to sit a little longer. Even if it's just 30 seconds, that's longer. Meet your body's needs, and it will meet your needs. There will be times when life is complicated with so many variables, the majority of which are out of our control. Ignore the fools who would condemn you for things out of your control. Listen to your body. When you need to rest, rest. And you will remember, we're not here for a short thing. We're not meditating for 1 week. We're using meditation as an adjunct to improve our life. So if we're cultivating a lifelong practice, then play the long game. Make of your body a friend. Make of your body an ally, and it will serve you well, but you must meet your body's needs. We're talking quality sleep, fresh air, sunshine, exercise, eat clean. I'm a big fan of a whole food, vegan diet. Take care of your body. Do things that your body feels are fun. And you'll have more and more or greater productivity in your meditation. Let's continue. But some days I don't settle down, and trying to push through to the bell is very frustrating. Yes, do not do that. I practice watching my breathing and letting go of everything else. Ooh, there's your challenge right there. You see. When we watch our breathing, that's a fancy word for concentrating. When we're concentrating, we're using a very specific region of our prefrontal cortex. And when we do that, the blood collects in our amygdala, the bit of tissue at the bottom of our brain that serves as the seat of our aggression and anxiety. Concentration is not going to make us peaceful. Concentration is not going to make us joyful. Concentration is not going to make us loving. And 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. When we choose to focus on one thing and let go of everything else, we are just indulging the duality of dread and desire, of pushing and pulling. The freedom we seek is not freedom from the presence or absence of things we like or dislike. The freedom we seek is freedom from the tyranny of our resistance. Edit. I stop my sit on times that I describe. Okay, so it's good to stop when your body needs a rest. It's bad to stop when you just don't know what to do. So I'm going to give you some specific tools so that future sitting practices will be more enjoyable. So we've already mentioned that the quick path to cultivate a clinical aversion is to ignore our body's needs and push through. And I've inferred that there's a certain magic with a K, so that's big stuff, to listening to your body's needs. Now, what is the purpose of meditation? Evolution has given us two reward cycles. Dopamine cycles for short-term pleasure, which are useful for survival and procreation, because that's what our genes want. They want to just be moving on to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. But the second reward cycle is about fulfillment. It's about fulfilling cooperative relationships, be they vocational, recreational, platonic, or romantic. When we are ruled by our dopamine-oriented reward system, our life is going to be chaotic and bereft of peace. Now, we don't want to completely remove it with a grapefruit spoon. We need those mechanisms. So what we want is our survival mechanisms to stop being our master and start being our employee. And I'm using capitalistic terms, and I apologize for that. I'm a bit tired today, so this is not my A game. But you get the basic idea. So when we get good at meditation, we're able to recognize whatever's coming up. You see, we have evolved in such a way so that every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we access this sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It has not evolved for either extreme of mind blanking or concentrating. It has evolved to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of that same spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It has evolved for both physical relaxation and mental release. Are we supposed to let go of everything that is in the breath? No. We're supposed to let go of everything. During in-breath, we notice. During the out-breath, we relax and release. It's automatic. The only question is whether our will is in opposition to this process, which it typically is, or whether it is in harmony with this process. And that's why we can play with certain words. For instance, and let me jump ahead here, we can play with the universal label. When we breathe in, we can lose ourselves with the trap of obsessive labeling. And so I recommend the universal label, which is simply the demonstrative pronoun this. What are you seeing? This. Well, what are you smelling? This. Well, what a coincidence. What are you emoting? This. What are you intending? This. What are you recalling? This. What are you imagining? This. So you always have the answer to the question. During our exhalation, we are already wired to relax. Our job is not to shove our experience away. Our job is not to shove our resistance to our experience away. It is to notice it and stop pushing, even just a little bit. In Taoism, we have the yin, the yang and the yin. In Buddhism, we have the example of the Buddha and the Buddha's wicked cousin Devadatta. Where Devadatta was rigid, the Buddha was flexible. Where Devadatta was fearful, the Buddha was loving. Where Devadatta was controlling, the Buddha was laid back. If we want to maximize our peace and our joy and our love, we need to live a life that is defined by flexibility and love and being laid back. There will always be people who vehemently oppose these choices. Remember the words of Einstein. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from lesser minds. Hey, Adrian, what's up, man? One ring shall rule them all, which means what is a response to the external? We relax. What is our response to the internal? We relax. What is our response to the physical? We relax. What is our response to the mental? We relax. What is our response to the pleasurable? We relax. What is our response to the painful? We relax. What is our response to the boring? We relax. What is our response to the interesting? We relax. What is our response to the glorious? We relax. What is our response to the grotesque? We relax. Relax. In Soto Zen, there is a popular saying that's oft misunderstood. Thinking, no thinking. That does not mean thinking about not thinking. That's just folly. It means that as you breathe in, you might notice a thought. And as you relax into your exhalation, that thought could feel even a little bit less tangible. This is not because of the power of our will, or the power of ritual, or the power of making an offering. This is simply the way our autonomic nervous system has evolved. Most kids know what it's like to want to help out their primary caregiver or their secondary caregiver. And often, with the best of intentions, they just get underfed. And so a really intelligent caregiver will give the kid a task to do that feels important but is innocuous. So if they screw up, it's not the end of the world. For instance, holding the flashlight or stirring the batter. These are wonderful examples. Similarly, if we give our brain the opportunity to participate in mindfulness and meditation, and we say, okay, brain, during the inhalation, I want you to silently and mentally recite the phrase, notice this. And during the exhalation, I want you to silently and mentally recite the phrase, relaxing. All of a sudden, the brain goes from being a bull in a china shop to your butler. And your brain's intention is now falling into alignment with the factory installed settings of your autonomic nervous system. I look forward, now that we've explored this in broad brushstrokes, I look forward to actually chanting and meditating with you, getting down to the nitty-gritty. And we can do that after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you will not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. So this evening's question was from a Zen enthusiast. This evening's practice, however, is going to be practiced from a very, very, I would say, a Rime point of view. Today's practice is suitable for anyone, for a Theravadan, for a Mahāyānan, for a Vajrayanan, for a Dzogchenpa, for anybody. Even for people who don't know what these words mean. This is going to be a non-superstitious practice. Dzogchen is just a fancy word for 3 kinds of exercises: awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, and love and letting go. It's so simple, even this guy can do it. Shakyamuni is one of the many nicknames for the Buddha. I'm very comfortable with the idea the Buddha might be historical. He might purely be an archetype. I'm fine either way. Because I don't look at the Buddha as a god. I look at the Buddha as an archetype whose iconography simply reminds me of the path. L'chaim. We're going to flip-flop between mantra meditation and silent meditation because I found that to be the easiest way. There's a myth that just because things harder, it's got to be better. Not necessarily. The Buddha taught that full enlightenment could be accomplished in a week. Now that's kind of misleading. You can enlighten your mind in a week. Your body needs to get accustomed to sitting. So if you have been raised and if you spent 10 years learning how to sit and knock yourself out, you're going to have a short journey. However, if you are new to sitting, give yourself a break. Use your timer and give yourself a 5-minute sitting workout for about, once every 12 hours or so. Do that for 7 consecutive days, and then you'll be ready for 10 minutes. Do that for 7 consecutive days, and you'll be ready for 15 minutes. Every week, you could, if you wish, increase the duration of your sitting by 5 minutes. Within the conclusion of 16 to 20 weeks, your body would have acclimated, and your life would have acclimated to you sitting twice daily. Additionally, if during those timed sittings you participated in a live or recorded live stream of mine on, YouTube, your mind will be mastering the path. And it's easier and quicker than you think. What's 16 weeks? What's 20 weeks? I guess 16 weeks is approximately a little bit less than 4 months. You can totally do this deal. Let's chant the explanation of the mantra together. With whom we invoke the example of the Muni was one Muni wise one. Maha greatly was one Muni of the Shakya Soha, wishing enlightenment for all. This is non-superstitious. We're invoking an example, and we're wishing that all beings everywhere are able to master it. So we are transcending superstition, and we're just transcending elitism. Our first practice is known in Tibet as Lama Kyeno. In English, that's known as calling the teacher from afar. Non-superstitiously, it's just a form of energy work that helps us to effortlessly practice bliss and letting go. Consider, if you will, this piece of art. The image of the Buddha reminds us of our own enlightened potential. The image of 2 individuals sporting in tantric union overhead literally remind us of the teachings, and figuratively remind us of real or imagined energy that could gather above our crown or at our crown. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite this italicized phrase. We can let the subconscious do the heavy lifting. As we exhale, we can physically relax as best we can. We can physically relax as best we can as we strive to chant this 12-syllable mantra 4 times per breath. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yeswa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Having chanted this mantra 16 times, it's time to take a rest. Now we can get to cruising, contemplative cruising altitude in just 4 easy steps. We'll start with the first step. Let's take a deeper look at mindfulness. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system. Not found within our brain, it is instead ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It did not evolve to support either extreme of mind blanking or concentration. Instead, it evolved to simply notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. This is exemplified or symbolized. This vulnerability is exemplified by the nudity of this archetype of meditation described in Sanskrit as samantabhadra, samantabhadri, karma mundra. So if we're not concentrating upon the breath, then what is our relationship to the breath? Our relationship to the breath is that of a piano student with a metronome. When we notice ourselves breathing in, we could silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. When we notice ourselves exhaling, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Let's practice this now for approximately, 9 to 12 rounds. Now let us turn to the outer preliminary practices. Together. Those who tread the path of yin use the awareness of stress to frighten us into an analog of morality. But upon this path of yin, the awareness of stress fuels our empathy. Let's dig in. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Let's chant. Those who tread the path of yin use the awareness of interdependence to frighten us into a form of moral code. But upon this path of yin, the awareness of causality reminds us that our love can lighten others' loads. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Those who tread the path of yin use the awareness of impermanence to promote quasi-practice just for show. But upon this path of yin, the awareness of impermanence can fuel our wisdom of letting go. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Those who tread the path of yin use the awareness of the preciousness of all meditation opportunities to frightenedness into neurotic diligence. But upon this path of yin we joyfully perform the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity. Let's see here. What if I went over here and I hit this button and I put a space? Would that do it? Doesn't look like it. Let's put this here. Let's go back, hit end, and that's not going to do it. Okay. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. Now let's remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels. We discussed that in mindfulness, our sympathetic nervous system helps us notice all manner of things: perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. But what do we do with those things? That question brings us to meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within the lower lumbar region of that same spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical area. It has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Let's explore this. Let's take it a little deeper. Every time we relax, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was could begin to feel a little bit less graspable. Now, let's sprinkle on some figurative language. Ready? Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although it could be tantalizing to the eye, is most certainly intangible to the hand? And there you have it. Perhaps that is why this meditation, this archetype of meditation known in Tibet as Kuntu Zangpo, Kuntu Zangmo Yamyum, is depicted as made of light, translucent, and non-graspable. As we inhale, please silently and mentally recite sitting tall, remembering to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. During our exhalation, let's silently and mentally recite relaxing. Let's do this for 8 to 12 breaths. 8 to 12 breaths. We now come to our inner preliminary practices. Let's chant. In our empathy, may we long to free all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. 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 Please remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist meditation, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let's continue. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others be fueled by our reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. Described by the metaphor of the three wish-fulfilling jewels. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Rather than squander our time and energy and defensiveness, how much wiser could it be to learn from all mistakes lessons that flow from the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation? Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 A life spent in competition and greed leads not to peace and fulfillment. Better it is to live in cooperation and generosity. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite to notice this, and as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite relaxing. Let us bring an exercise known in Sanskrit as Guru Yoga and known in Tibet as Lama into the path of energy work that we might further train in bliss and letting go. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Esawa. 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 And now let us remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the one syllable as a synonym of relax. Consider this gal of the color of a cumulus cloud and how she appears to be actively sporting in tantric union. This serves to remind us that spontaneity trumps contrivance. Consider her partner passively savoring tantric union. This reminds us that not all spontaneity is created equal, and that centered spontaneity always trumps scattered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, our life can be very much like a Vati or Pure Land or mythical paradise of a Buddha, whether it is of Buddhist lore or simply the paintbrush of Maxfield Parrish. Now that we've reached contemplative cruising altitude together as a team, let us meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker. The second fold of the Buddha's eightfold path is wishing love. Let us now bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and letting go, where it is love that is emphasized. Let's chant. Well, quick heads up. So here's our basic method. When it comes to mantra meditation, during the inhalation, we recite this bit in italics. During our exhalation, we strive to physically relax as best we can while chanting this 12-syllable mantra 4 times per breath. However, these next 8 silent recitations are super cryptic. Fortunately, they are elucidated by the short chant that precedes them. Let's chant together. May all minds of all beings know be as peacefully wise as the mind of A Buddha of law symbolized by a tikle one syllable zero bija mantra. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communications symbolized by this 12-syllable mantra. It's not our job to actively visualize or believe or emote. If all we do is silently and mentally play with these words in harmony with our breathing, we will make progress on the path. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Oh, oopsie, I got ahead of myself. Pardon moi. Together. May all bodies of all beings know and enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought, of the blissful body of a yidam of lore and archetype of enlightenment such as Shakyamuni. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the good fortune or boon as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, Land of Avanti. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Now let us bring our experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. How is it that as we inhale, all lots of circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. How is it that as we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual, yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined archetype or idiom of light? Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of communication, all speech could sound quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it can feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. How is it that as we inhale, we can notice all minds, perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they can feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined bija seed suitable of light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. This meditational archetype, the name of this meditational archetype describes as all good one. It reminds us that we already possess all the neurological hardware we require to become a Buddha. We possess all the hardware we require to practice mindfulness, all the hardware we require to practice meditation, all the hardware we require to practice empathy. All we got to do is get out of our own way. Let us watch the play of mind as we inhale and relax into mind's non-graspable nature as we exhale. Let us bring the illusion of horizontal duality, of us and them, into the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as the yoga of inconceivability. What could it look like if all circumstances, all lots was floating and impermanently melted in the rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this body or form? Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. What could it feel like if all forms or bodies blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this communicational speech? Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa. What could it sound like if all interpersonal speech was fully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into this mind? Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa. What could it be like if all minds blissfully and impermanently melted into rainbow light that interdependently absorbed into a vast empty void? Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although tantalizing to the eye could be not graspable to the hand. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa. Remember, at the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Let us bring the 5 aggregates into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever body or form we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever feelings, such as pleasure, pain, or neither, we may have noticed during our inhalation, could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesowa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever appraisal of pleasure or pain's intensity or volume we may have noticed during or inhalation could begin to feel as non graspable as a vastum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever impulse, such as pushing, holding, or clinging, we may have noticed during our inhalation, could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vastum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever awareness, self-perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, or imagining we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vastum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Let us transcend the illusion of the vertical duality of samsara and nirvana by metaphorically inviting all the real and imagined Buddhas, their paradises, and their denizens to dwell in the 84,000 pores of our skin, thus practicing the body mandala of duality's awareness and non-duality's release. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Let us bring the 5 body regions into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever lower abdomen we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined. Almagosa syllable of green light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever navel we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined. Rana Sambhava Sarabal Tram of gold light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever chest we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined. Nakshobhya cerebral hunga blue lights. So I want to do a quick edit. This is going to be a little bit messy. The screen is going to go nuts. I will fix it momentarily. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever threat we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as real or imagined. Amitabha syllable 3 of red lights. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever crown or scalp we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined. Vadachana subtle bloom of white light. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesawa. 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 Let us bring the 5 mental poisons into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever jealousy we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as all-accomplishing wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever pride we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as equalizing wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever hate we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as mirror-like wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever greed we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as discerning wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever confusion we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as all-pervasive wisdom. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Let us bring the 5 perceptions into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever scent we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever flavor we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sensation we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as not graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sound we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sight we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. Let us bring the 5 thoughts into the path of awareness and letting go. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever emotion we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever intention we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vacuum devoid. Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa, Om Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever cognition we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vacuum devoid. Oh, Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever recollection we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as our vast empty void. Oh, Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 As we relax into our exhalation, whatever imagining we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as our vast empty void. Oh, Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Let us drag the spontaneous play of mind, kicking and screaming into the path of awareness and letting go. Oh, Muni Muni Ma Muni Yesuwa. 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 Let us seal this practice with a love that wishes for the universal mastery of Buddha's Eightfold Path. May, O Master, letting go and love as well as kind communication, conduct, and commerce May all master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity as well as mindfulness and meditation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.